Hey there, I'm Lee Rowley, and this is Lee After Dark. Why? Because there's more to being a business leader than just business. Each episode, one brave entrepreneur injects the elevator pitch and just gets real. Today, I am very happy to welcome Roy Kowarski. Did I say that right? I should have asked you. Did I
You
get
did
it
a good
right?
job
At
with it.
least reasonably close? Okay,
Pretty close.
cool. That's a bad habit of mine. I always forget to ask until I'm already on camera, and I just figure, all right, well, the cat's out of the bag. I can't pronounce names. So, Roy, it is fantastic to have you on the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be part of your show, Lee. I'm a huge admirer of you, so I think you know that. So thank you so much for the invitation, and I look forward to this conversation with you and engaging in different topics.
Absolutely, and the compliments much appreciated. Now, the rules are simple. For the next 20 minutes, you can talk about anything under the sun you want except for your business. Should you succeed, you get 5 minutes at the end to for the usual stuff. Tell us about your offers, your business, who you're looking for, where people can get in touch with you, where people can send you bribes, whatever you want. But until then, we want to keep away from business. So, are you ready to play Lee After Dark?
I certainly am, sir.
All right. Well, I'm going to click the timer to keep us honest. And as the question always is, what do you want to get into for the next 20 minutes?
Well, I don't have any specific agenda, but I'm happy to talk about different things.
Okay.
That motivate me and hopefully motivate other people. And I suppose probably because we're not going to talk about business, which is great. I want to maybe talk about two words, which I'm sure that you will clearly be part of it, and it'll be something that will resonate with you. And those two words are giving and kindness.
I like where this is going already.
So at the end of last year, I kind of classify myself in the giving category. I like to think that my mindset is a giving mindset, and I'm going to start off by telling you a little story of how this came about. And this was when I was in my 20s, which is a number of years back. Um, we used to take underprivileged children away for weekends. And we lived at a coastal city in South Africa. And we took these kids away one weekend. Now, bear in mind that we lived at the sea. So, I mean, I never knew that any children that lived at a coastal would not have seen the sea before.
Hmm.
Wrong. This little girl, she's about 11 or 12, um, when we walked onto the beach, I saw the look in her eye when she saw the sea. And I said to her, what is it? She said, I've never seen the sea before.
Hmm.
And I saw the gratitude in her eyes and in her face, her facial expressions. And it just melted my heart. And I said to myself that day, I said, this feeling that I've had, this gratitude feeling, this warm, fuzzy feeling, I want to replicate that for the rest of my life. Because the feeling that I had when I saw the gratitude in her eyes and her facial expressions. So that's where this whole thing comes from. I have spent my life trying to replicate, and I think I've done it reasonably successfully, of the giving aspect. And that obviously ties into kindness.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, it's interesting that you tied that feeling to giving in a society where we're taught, almost programmed, to tie that feeling to having. And so, it's so wonderful to hear this story as juxtaposed to what most of us are doing, which is trying to accumulate something that we think is going to make us happy by virtue of us possessing it. And that's not how it works. As you've shown, it's the giving, it's the what you have to offer and actually going out and doing it that brings that true sense of fulfillment that you're talking about.
Absolutely. And Lee, the other thing that I've seen, is that there are so many people in the world that just don't see, the benefit of giving. That there's a huge category of people that that are looking to see how they can benefit always. What is the benefit to them? Well,
Mhm.
I'm very grateful that I experienced that so many years ago, because I get, and I'm sorry to sort of bring it back to me, but that's not really anything other than just the conversation, and that is I get far more pleasure out of giving than taking or receiving. I know it sounds a little bizarre, but you know I've had many occasions where I've done a whole lot of things and someone wants to give me something and they've said, yeah, no, you know what, this is sort of payback. I say there is no, in my life there's no such thing as payback. Why would why would I want to give with an ulterior motive? That's not giving, that's bartering.
Right, exactly. It's a form of entrapping someone in obligation in a way, and unfortunately, in what we do online, I know I'm kind of dancing close to the edge here, that it can be all too easy to think that you're giving when in fact that's all you're really trying to do is just entrap for a future favor. I'll do this for you now. Oh, now you have to do something for me. Classic
Correct.
sales trick, but it leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth. People remember that.
Absolutely. No, and I mean that's what I subscribe to. So I love this kind of conversation because it's all about that. And the other thing that is so significant, and you will relate to it straight away, is that kindness and giving are two things that are for free.
Mhm.
There's no cost to them. So if somebody says, I cannot be kind because it's going to cost me so many dollars, or I cannot be giving because I don't have the dollars to give. No, sir. You don't have to give dollars. You can give your soul. You can give your heart. You can give, advice. I mean, there's the multitude of words. I'm not the content creator, so I'll just stick with a couple of the words, but you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And the same with kindness. You don't have to give somebody material goods. You don't have to present them with money, but you can be kind to people. Somebody that's struggling, you can just say a few words that uplifts them. Somebody that's down, sorry, on the ground, you can give them a helping hand to get them up. This is not cost. There's no cost to this.
No, there's not, and there is some helping somebody to believe in themselves or to because many people never have been given permission to do that before, and I think that the way some of us are brought up, teaching, people are taught, you can't do this, you can't be yourself, you can't show your own brilliance, you have to fit into a certain mold. And certainly just being able to let somebody give themselves permission to step out of that for some time is a form of giving that continues to grow long after you've parted ways.
Absolutely. When we young and when I see children today, so often you hear parents, the one sort of classic word that parents are talking to their children about is no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Don't pick that up. No, don't do this. And that word gets ingrained in so many people's minds, the word no and not. But the reality is there are things called yes, and there are things called explore and be careful, but try it, but be careful. That's not no. So again, all these things are actually positive reinforcements rather than negative reinforcements, if I can put it that way.
Okay, that makes sense. And just shifting that framework makes a huge difference in the outcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. Swinging from one thing to another, as we say, we're not talking about business. It's been most interesting to see the transformation in America, from an outsider's point of view. I live in Australia, of the political alignment with the presidential move across. I'm not trying to venture into politics here, but I just wanted to say how enlightened I am, and how thrilled I am to see just so much reconciliation and sort of helping hand being put out. And I hope that this is the start of a new era for the US, of peace and of people understanding and accepting each other without any sort of volatile consequences. Sorry, this is not meant as a political statement. It's more.
No, I think this is a fascinating conversation, and I don't think that we necessarily need to parse politics to do that. What to build on what you're saying, and thank you for bringing that up. One thing that I will say about the United States that is always impressed me is it is like back here. It's like the Phoenix. We've had plenty of dark times throughout our history, but we've always rebuilt from there and to something better. We do have a lot of problems right now, and it's those problems have existed for decades and are surfacing now. But you're right. We've always been able to come back and reemerge and evolve stronger. And so, I definitely have high hopes for that now. And it's interesting to see just the general tone when you're out and about has changed a little bit. The people look a little less tense now and a little less afraid of each other. But it's going to take a long time to get back to anything normal, and it's going to be an interesting to watch that process evolve and hopefully be a positive part of that process.
Absolutely. Look, I think that the most important thing that I'm, as I say, it's the outsider's point of view, and that is the polarization that's taken place. And I think that just the start of a process to heal that. I mean, there's no question it's underway already.
Right, it is. It is as fascinating. And where I live, we're largely how would I say, red, I guess. So I do personally know people who still believe that the election was a fraud and so forth and so on. And there are still little pockets of that, rallies and stuff going on in little cities around here. But it gets smaller and smaller, and you just got to go, eventually we'll get back to what we're supposed to be doing, which is helping each other.
Absolutely. And that obviously ties straight back to what I was saying about giving and kindness. And I got to say as well that, my interaction with you, on LinkedIn and in this pod that you and I belong to, it's enlightening to see, how you operate, and your ethics and your principles and your humor, and I'm a huge supporter. I love it. I love your sense of humor. I love the way that you tell stories, and I love the fact that you don't stay within the confines of what is accepted and what's not accepted. You venture out, which means that you're thinking outside of the box, which means that it interests people. So I just want to compliment you on the way you carry on your content creation. It's brilliant.
I deeply appreciate that. I found it incredibly surprising that there was actually a platform where people would read, engage, and get something out of my content. And I think a lot of us do that. We spend so much time in our heads thinking, oh, well, nobody would want to read this. Nobody would think that. This would be stupid to say, and I threw that all to the wind, and a lot of that is part of of my backstory. When I lost my daughter, a lot of that just went away, and I just kind of went, okay, I have to just say what I want, because to me that's a lot of who she was. And so to me, I'm trying to give people permission to be a little more them and to step out. And that's one of my favorite things when I get a message will say like, hey, I posted this thing today that I never thought I'd have the courage to post, and thank you for whatever. That's really cool, because we're not going to get any of our time back. You and I aren't going to get these 25 minutes back. But how if we spent them doing something that made us happy or made somebody else happy, that's great. That's good use of our time.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Couldn't agree with you more. And you see so many people, as you correctly point out, you see so many people that are so hesitant, to put it out there, and to say what they want. One of the things that I've just found so fascinating is that you can create all this content, and you can do as much as what you think is going on. Try and be as authentic as what you can. Every now and again, you just have that little sort of magic moment where somebody sends you a message and says, you caught me at a vulnerable time, and the message that you gave me helped me get through that. And isn't that just gold to have those moments?
Absolutely. And once you have that feeling, it's easy to understand why you want more of it. Because it is something that you're paying forward.
Exactly that, 101%. So no, that's why I just wanted to take the time to compliment you, because I love your work, and it's been great to engage with you. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. I'm humbled, and I very much appreciate it. Now, we have successfully completed the Lee After Dark 20-minute not talking about your business challenge. So yay, and invisible confetti rains down from the sky and all the good stuff. So do you have any final thoughts on that part before we move on to the other thing?
Not really. I've just thoroughly enjoyed talking with you. You have a way of making things easy to talk about. So I've really, really enjoyed it. And I think we subscribe to the same principles and values.
Absolutely. I'm very glad that we've had a chance to cross paths. Now, because I'm a man of my word, I want to make sure to give you up to 5 minutes to tell us about your business, who you're looking for, how people can get in touch with you, where people can send you fat stacks of cash. The floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, sir. So my business is called Out There Branding, as you can see behind me. I own the business. I am the CEO of Out There Branding. And what we do is I call myself a customer engagement strategist. And what that means is I engage with customers to be able to help them to get an outcome. So what does that mean? It means that I will use my 2 ears to listen what a customer wants to achieve. Instead of putting a product in front of them and saying, this will work for you, I first want to know, is there a result they want to achieve, what that result is, and then I will propose some sort of product, and I will align it with a strategy. So that's really what my core business is. And I work with some pretty iconic brands. I work with MasterCard. I work with Google. I work with YouTube. I work with LinkedIn. I've just did a huge program for LinkedIn. So it's all about thinking outside the box, to be innovative, to be creative, and to allow a message to get across that gives you a return on investment. And my company tagline sort of sums it up, and it is creating memorable experiences to deliver profitable outcomes. And I'll say that again because it's for me, it's hugely meaningful. It's creating memorable experiences to deliver profitable outcomes. So if somebody wants to give a gift to somebody else, my logic is it has to be a memorable experience, but it's also got to deliver an outcome for them, which has to be profitable, which is a return on investment. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. And, I try and help. And maybe this is probably a sort of a way of bringing back is, I spoke about that story of that young girl that I saw the gratitude on her face, and I said I wanted to replicate that giving feeling. Well, I've taken that feeling into my business, so I've transcended the feeling of giving and kindness in my personal life, and I've brought that into my business, and that's the underlying ethos of my business: is giving and helping without any expectation of getting anything back.
It's fantastic. That's also very evident in your LinkedIn content. You are continually supplying top-notch information through your posts, and anybody who's not following you, I would highly recommend to do that.
And how to get hold of me is quite easy. I have a tagline, and I also have a little website that's called Better Call Roy. Better Call Roy. And you click on that and it goes to my, methods of getting in touch with me. So my website is, as you see behind me, but if you want to get hold of me, Better Call Roy, and I can help.
Fantastic. And we'll have your contact information in the show notes as well, so people can contact you directly. Okay.
And if I can just give a shout out to you. I know this is an interview with me, but I just wanted to say that I have engaged with you on a business level to look at my content and give me some input. And your report that you sent me was nothing short of absolutely brilliant. Not only did you point out to me what I'm doing well, which is easy, but you pointed out where I can improve, what I can do, how I can do it, and you've shown me a way to do it. So you've taken the circular effect. You haven't just told me what's wrong. You've shown me how to fix it and what I can do. So I'm ever grateful for you, for engaging in a business transaction with you. But I just wanted to compliment you on the report that you sent me and say it is so, so, so useful. And I'm going to apply all those aspects that you've pointed out to me. And hopefully, you'll look back in 6 months' time and you'll say, there's a good student that I had.
Yes. Yes, I can see that already that you've taken one piece of advice to heart there, because you've got the incredible branding behind you. Thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with this and watching your brand explode this year. So I'm always here to help. Thank you so much for trusting me and taking my advice to heart. That's awesome to see.
My pleasure, and I'm thrilled that that we've crossed paths, and we can. And if there's any help that you need, from a marketing and a branding point of view, my door's always open, the same as your door is open for me.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Now we are out of time, but if you found Lee After Dark more tolerable than the rest of the dreck out there, then subscribe to my daggone YouTube channel over at leeafterdark.com. All right. And we're on all the usual Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Pocket Rocket. I don't know, the usual place you would listen to a podcast. We'll be back next week with another episode. But until then, from myself and my good friend, Roy Kowarski, be present and be well.
Thank you.